Good morning, folks. Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Dustin Jones. I am a co-lead faculty member within the Older Adult Division. Today is Thursday. That means it is Leadership Thursday. That also means it's Gut Check Thursday. The workouts that we love to hate. Let's talk about the pain that Alan has programmed for us this week. So this workout, for someone like me, long arms, rather weak individual, very weak overhead, not a great workout for someone like me. Some of you all are going to absolutely kill this, but this is 4x 70 push press with a 45-pound bar for the males or a 35-pound bar for the females. Then we go to 60 barbell box step-ups, 20 inches, so 20 inches across the board. Thank you, Alan, for that. The tall person in me appreciates the shorter box height. Then we go to 50 push press, then 40 barbell box step-ups, 30 push press, 20 barbell box step-ups. So Alan is predicting that if you're a pretty fit individual, you will get between 8 to 9 minutes, and hopefully you can try and do this whole workout without putting the barbell down. That is going to be rather challenging, but we'll give a crack at it. So submit your times and do a time-lapse video. Post it on Instagram or Facebook if you want to, but on Instagram, make sure you do the hashtag GutCheck and then tag at IcePhysio, and you'll be entered to win a monthly t-shirt. This is going to be a very interesting one. I'll be tackling this around 11:30 today after Stronger Life. Good morning, Kelsey. How we doing? All right, today's topic at hand. Do you have the curse of knowledge? So this comes from week 6 of Modern Management of the Older Adult Essential Foundation. So we are currently, we just finished up week 6 in that online cohort, and the assignment is to basically give a falls prevention pitch. And we split it up. The group either does this pitch to a patient or they do it to another healthcare provider, whether it be a physical therapist, physician, a nurse practitioner, pharmacist, whatever it may be. And so we're trying to get our students to really think about how or what language they use and how they communicate with different groups of people. And what we find is it's rather challenging. And I'll raise my hand as well. It can be challenging to do, to really form your thought processes and your words and how you frame things based on the people that you're talking to, because it's a completely different skill set, a completely different group of people, and we have to acknowledge that. And a lot of people really struggle with this assignment, and a big reason for that is whether it's nerves of talking into a camera and posting it in a private Facebook group, or the other one, which is a big one, is the curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge. So if you are not familiar with that term, I'm going to talk about a very fascinating study that really brought this into light. So in 1990, way back when, a Stanford University graduate student by the name of Elizabeth Newton illustrated the curse of knowledge really for the first time in the literature. And this is beautiful. She basically did a very, very simple game. What she did was she assigned people to either tap a song, a very common song that most people know. So they're tapping it on a table, and then the other people in this group were assigned as listeners. All right, so you have tappers and then you have listeners, and the tappers are supposed to do a common song, something like "Happy Birthday," for example. And so each tapper was asked to pick a song, and then the listener's job was to just guess the song. Now, what they also did was the tappers, good morning, Alex, they asked the tappers, what probability do you think the listeners are going to pick correctly? And the tappers in that group said about 50%. They were predicting that about half the time the listeners were going to be able to guess the correct song. All right, so they did 120 songs total. All right, actually, let's do this. I'm going to tap a song. I want you to listen. And I want you to guess in your head. If you're watching live, you can comment below. All right, I'll clap so you can hear me. All right, comment in the Instagram video or the Facebook video. I'll give you a second. And so what you are trying to do is guess that song. I'll go ahead and give it away. It was Happy Birthday. It was Happy Birthday. My birthday's not coming up, but I really enjoy that song. So what they found in this actual study is that listeners only guessed 3 songs correctly. 3 songs out of 120 attempts. Success ratio of 2.5%. Now think about that. They only guessed 3 songs out of 120. However, the tapper, the role that I played, basically said you're going to have a 50% success rate. 2.5% success rate is what actually happened. So the tappers got their message across 1 time in 40, basically. But they thought they would get it across in 1 out of every 2 times. So why? Why is that? Why was there such a big mismatch? And so this study really demonstrated the curse of knowledge, because when a tapper taps, it is impossible for someone to avoid hearing the tune playing along inside their head. It is absolutely impossible. So when I'm tapping Happy Birthday, it is impossible for me to not hear that tune. Meanwhile, all the listener can hear is almost like a bizarre Morse code. And I'm sure you probably felt that. You may have guessed Happy Birthday correctly, but I imagine maybe 2.5% of you all were like, what in the hell is he tapping here? I have no clue what he's doing. And so the tappers were flabbergasted by how hard the listeners had to work to pick up the tune. So here's where the problem lies, is that once we know something, so like the tapper knows he was going to play a song, he had that melody in his head, it is very hard to imagine not knowing that song. It is very hard to imagine not being familiar with this tune, of kind of having that beginner's mindset or not having that knowledge. And in that moment, that is when knowledge has cursed us. We have the curse of knowledge. We have difficulty sharing it with others because we cannot readily create that beginner's state of mind when we did not have that knowledge. And that is a big issue for almost everybody listening or watching to this podcast. We have the curse of knowledge, and it can get in the way of communicating with the different people groups that we're trying to communicate with. Good morning, Sammy. Good morning, Mallory. How are we doing? So where does this play out, particularly in our worlds? As rehab professionals, whether you're a PT, OT, PTA, CODA, speech therapist, what's up? I know we got some speech people in the house, fitness professionals as well. Where does this really become an issue? So the first one, and the most obvious one, and maybe the most impactful one, is within our own patient or client interactions. So when we are trying to demonstrate what may be a complex concept to individuals, it is very, very easy for us to use multi-syllable words, things that we can barely say out loud, that is very difficult to repeat. We sound really smart and intellectual. However, that is falling on deaf ears to many of the people that we're working with. We're not communicating in a way that's going to be acceptable or understandable to them. How does this commonly shake out? Usually when we're trying to share some information on a particular medical diagnosis, one that really grinds my gears is when someone is given the diagnosis of congestive heart failure. Me, as the physical therapist and having experience in home health and spend a lot of time with people that have CHF, I know what that actually looks like. I know CHF, people can live a pretty high quality of life for a long period of time after CHF if they manage it well. It's not necessarily a death sentence. But if you try and remove all of your medical training and all of your biases and all of your past experiences, and you hear the term congestive heart failure, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to crap your pants. You're going to be scared to death. You're going to think this is the end. This is the beginning of the end. It's all downhill from here. I may live for another year. I may not. It's a very, very frightening diagnosis that is often not given context to a lot of individuals. That is a very common one. Degenerative disc disease, that's the one that we all have experience with, that someone hears that triple D, or they hear bone on bone, for example, and they think, oh, it's all downhill from here. They're not given context. That information was given to them with the curse of knowledge. A lot of healthcare providers do not present in a way that's comprehensible, it's understandable, or it's in context for a lot of individuals. So we need to be very, very careful in those interactions. We'll talk about some things we want to do in a little bit, but that is one. The patient interactions is absolutely huge. The second one is when we start to market to individuals, and this is something that I'm experiencing with Stronger Life, that many of you all experience as well, is that sometimes our words may not necessarily resonate with individuals, or things that we say may not be perceived as intended. And I think about the difficult situation of when your target market, when you're trying to build a business or you're trying to reach a particular group of people that are not in your demographic, that is rather challenging. So for you all that may be avid CrossFitters, for example, you may be in your mid to late 20s or early 30s, you're super cool, you're working out with all these fit individuals and you're treating them as their PT. That's awesome, that's great. I would say it's very easy for you to market to them, to speak their language, because you are in their particular life situation. You understand what it's like to try and be a competitive CrossFit athlete and you're not able to snatch a barbell overhead because you have shoulder or wrist pain. You understand what that's like, and you can speak to that in your marketing material rather seamlessly, and that's great, and you want to leverage that and build your practice. However, if you are the late 20-something-year-old or the 30-something-year-old and you're trying to speak to someone in their 70s, their 80s, to try and market to them, to bring them into your clinic or business or whatever your model is, that is much more challenging because you are not a part of that demographic. You don't really know and feel what it's like to be at that stage of life. What are some of those internal thoughts, those struggles, those feelings that you're having? It's very, very challenging to be able to speak that language. And so often in those situations, when we're marketing to a demographic that we are not a part of, the curse of knowledge rears its ugly head. I'm experiencing this right now with Stronger Life, where I have some type of social media post or some type of ad or something I'm trying to submit for a publication locally that I'm like, all right, this is awesome. This really hits hard. I know it really resonates with me. And then you put it out in the world and your target demographic doesn't really jive with it. Happens a good bit, but we take that and we learn from it. So those two things, patient or client interactions, and then when we're trying to market publicly. So what can we do about this? This is what I really like to think about, and I'm something that I'm learning and struggling with all the time, right alongside you all, is that if we want to kind of tear down that curse of knowledge, we need to study our patients or our clients. And I'm not just talking about, let's get to know them, let's do some small chat here and there. I'm talking about really studying these individuals. What are their fears? What do they struggle with? What are their concerns? What does success look like to them? Some of these deeper conversations and questions that we really want to dive into. So when you have that downtime, for example, when you may be doing some type of passive treatment, if you're doing that in the clinic, that's an opportunity. That is an absolute opportunity not to get more notes done or not to go use the bathroom or check Instagram. It's an opportunity to dig in, to study your patients and learn some of the language that they use, the types of words that they use, some of the common issues that they're facing. It is an opportunity to learn to better know that demographic you're trying to serve. And it's in those moments that you get so much valuable information. For me at Stronger Life in Lexington, it's a group-based, it's a community fitness program for older adults. And so the class is awesome. We're getting barbells out, we're loading people up, group setting, following proper COVID-19 precautions, obviously. But the class is amazing. But honestly, what I gain more beyond anything else is that little 3 to 5 minute time period when class ends. People are hanging around the whiteboard, they're chatting it up, they're talking about what they did, what they struggled with, and then I kind of ease into the conversation. I start to talk to them. And all it is for me, I'm engaging my members, but I'm also studying them. What words are they using? What are they complaining about? What are they struggling with? Getting to know them more and more and more, and the more I'm able to resonate with them and understand them, the better I will be able to connect with them, but then also market to their peers. Study your patients or your clients. If you don't have opportunities, easy opportunities like that, then you may need to be a little more intentional with collecting feedback from new patients or people that are being discharged, to ask some questions to help you gain their mindset, to break down that curse of knowledge. Another opportunity is to get involved with groups in your community that are similar to the people you're trying to serve. I think Christina mentioned this to me before when Christina Previtt and her husband Nick Previtt moved to Kingston, Ontario to start Stave Off. Nick, I believe, joined a local bridge club, which he was the youngest individual probably by 70 years. And they're thinking, what in the world is this guy doing here? But Nick was trying to learn bridge, and he got his butt whooped, I'm sure. But he was also trying to learn those people that they were trying to serve at Stave Off. There's lots of opportunities to do that. The second thing that I think is very, very helpful is for you to put yourself in the situation of a student as often as you're able. Try something new. Try new things. I cannot tell you how valuable it has been to be new to, let's say, a CrossFit facility, or new to a parkour gym, or try a new activity, or go to a new spot where I'm seeking a particular service. Because you are kind of entrenched in that beginner's mindset. You know what it feels like to be nervous, to walk into a gym, for example, and be concerned about what other people are thinking about you, or worried about, are you going to do this lift correctly, or, oh crap, where are the clips for the barbell? I don't know. All those feelings that you forget over time when you spend so much time in a particular area or activity, you just become numb to it. And it's difficult to relate to the new people walking into your clinic or a fitness facility. But if you can intentionally put yourself in that new situation, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be health or fitness related. I think it can be anything. It could be dance lessons, for example. That feeling of being that new kind of beginner's mindset is going to be helpful. You also pick up on how other coaches, healthcare providers, kind of people running that session or show are interacting with the new individuals, that you can get some pointers on as well, so you can really connect with those individuals. Study your patients and then be a student regularly. Try new things. It can be very, very helpful from that manner. So the curse of knowledge. I think this deserves some reflection. Do you have the curse of knowledge? Do you often, give a diagnosis or explanation to your patients and they're just giving you this blank stare? Do you ask to clarify? Are there any other questions? Is there any other things that I can clean up so you understand, what we're doing here? Do you give space for that? Or do you just kind of continue on? You said your thing. It's up to them in terms of how they interpret it, and then you get on to the next thing. We want to study our people. We want to get to know them well so we can speak their language. And we want to put ourselves in their position, the beginner's position, or the student, trying new things that will gain tremendously, or you will gain tremendously from those situations, often in ways that you won't necessarily expect. At least I can say that for myself. So I'd love your thoughts. Are there interactions or particular situations that you've experienced the curse of knowledge? We'd love to chat it up. So whether it's on Instagram, leave a comment on the video. Whether you're on Facebook, leave a comment on that Facebook video. If you're on the podcast, get on Facebook, get on Instagram. You can comment on this video. We'd love to interact and just walk away with some better tactics to really address this curse of knowledge, so we are very aware of it and can address it. So that's all I got for you. I appreciate your time. Hit up that gut check. That's going to be a fun one. All you need is a 20-inch box and an empty barbell. Post your video and your time. Make sure you're doing #gutcheck and you are tagging @IcePhysio. I'm not looking forward to that later on. Thank you, Alan, for programming that, but that'll be interesting. So you all have a lovely rest of your Thursday, and I will talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.